Well, the penultimate college football rankings just dropped. These are going to be the final rankings we get before Sunday when we get the final 12-team college football playoff. So yeah, let's talk about these rankings. But before we get into these rankings, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. If you're watching this video, odds are you love college football, and odds are you aren't subscribed to my channel. So make sure to subscribe to one of the best college football communities here on YouTube. Alright, so the top 25 just dropped. We have a better understanding of who the 12 teams are going to be. Let's take a look at them. Now, there isn't really any surprise inside the top 8. I guess my biggest takeaway is the fact that Texas A&M dropped as much as they did for losing to Texas this past weekend, and the fact that Ole Miss, after losing Lane Kiffin, they actually moved up. They're now ranked number 6. I thought the committee might bump Ole Miss a couple of spots because they lost Lane Kiffin. A number of their coaching staff is still going to be coaching this game, so I think the committee felt that because everyone is going to be back for Ole Miss, with the exception of Lane Kiffin, that's enough to warrant them getting a home game in the college football playoff. So again, nothing really to discuss there 1 through 8, nothing really changed all that much. The real discussion of this video is going to be the teams that are ranked 9 through 12, 13, and 14 or so, because these are the teams that are going to be fighting for a college football playoff spot. Now, probably the biggest change in this week's rankings is the fact that Alabama actually jumped up a spot, moving from number 10 to number 9. They switched spots with Notre Dame, who is now ranked number 10. Coming in at number 11 is BYU, and coming in at number 12 is Miami. At this point, it's probably irrelevant, but you have Texas at 13, Vanderbilt at 14, and Utah at 15. I'm actually a little bit surprised to see Texas only move up 3 spots. I get it, they do have 3 losses, but they did have a pretty impressive victory against Texas A&M this past weekend, one of the more impressive victories of the entire college football season. So the fact they moved up only 3 spots, I found that to be a little bit surprising. But we're going to talk about Alabama first, because I don't think anybody is surprised the committee just pulled this off. Now, if you watched the College Football Playoff show that just aired on ESPN, you saw that they interviewed the head of the College Football Playoff Committee, and yeah, I think that's a pretty big joke right there. He was talking about how the committee was watching the Alabama game, and because how great they looked late in that 4th quarter, the fact that they decided to go for it on 4th and goal, they got the touchdown, they got the key turnover at the very end against Auburn, and they escaped Jordan Hare with a thrilling victory. That warrants them moving up a spot, and ultimately probably securing them in the 12-team playoff, regardless of what happens next week. Now, I could totally understand that if Alabama just went on the road and they took down a top 25 team. They were making it sound like Alabama just beat an absolute juggernaut. Are we watching the same Auburn team? Are we watching the same Auburn team that isn't ranked inside the top 25? Are we talking about the same Auburn team that won only 5 games this year and went 1-7 in SEC play? Because of this impressive victory over Auburn, the committee moved up Alabama 1 spot. Now, at the end of the day, none of this really matters to me, because whatever happens next week, that's going to happen. But I've said this so many times in previous years. I mean, going back to my days at Arizona State when it was a 4-team playoff. The committee is absolutely ridiculous. The reasons they give make absolutely no sense whatsoever. I posted a video earlier today where I said it doesn't matter what the committee wants to tell you every single week. Do they value head-to-head wins? Do they value strength of schedule? Do they value your overall losses on the year? Do they care about the most recent game? We don't know, because it changes every week, and it seems like they change their opinion every week on that as well. I mean, I find it absolutely insane that the head of the College Football Playoff Committee just went on air and said because of Alabama's great win this past weekend, that's why they're moving them up 1 spot. And by doing so, by moving Alabama up 1 spot, I think the College Football Playoff Committee is pretty much saying, regardless of what happens this weekend, Alabama is going to secure a spot in the 12-team playoff. Because if they lose to Georgia this weekend, they can't drop a couple of spots. Now, I have said this in previous videos, and I do stand by this. If you are playing in your conference championship, I don't think losing that game should affect you, because there are teams that don't play in their conference championship game. They're not going to move at all. They're not going to move because they're not in their conference title game. Why should you dock a team for losing a game by proving they're one of the best teams in that conference? So by doing so, again, I think this pretty much saves Alabama from being eliminated. Because if you had Alabama ranked at number 10, all of a sudden now, if BYU were to win the Big 12 title game, you're bumping down the team that's ranked at number 10 out of the college football playoff. And I don't think the college football playoff committee wanted to do that to Alabama. Now, it's definitely easier to knock out Notre Dame over Alabama because, like I said, you can't really fault a team for playing in their conference championship game. By moving down Notre Dame to number 10, well, this is a team that is not playing in a conference championship game. They're not having a chance to win an extra game this weekend, so if they get knocked out of the college football playoff, well, it's not as bad. Again, I don't really have a problem with Alabama sliding up to number 9. It's just the reasoning for it that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Now, the only way I could see Alabama getting left out of the college football playoff is if something happens this weekend where they get absolutely beat down by Georgia. I'm talking about they lose by 30 to 40 points, or maybe quarterback Ty Simpson gets hurt and it looks like he's not going to be available for the next playoff game. Those, I think, are the only scenarios in which Alabama doesn't make it in. But if Alabama wins, obviously they're guaranteed a spot, and if they have a close loss, they're obviously guaranteed a spot as well. So all eyes now are on number 10 Notre Dame. Like I mentioned, they don't play in a conference championship game this weekend, so they can't add to their resume. Now, things are going to get very interesting for Notre Dame because BYU is only one spot behind them. If BYU wins the Big 12 title game against Texas Tech, BYU secures an automatic bid, and they're going to slide up a spot and steal a bid from Notre Dame. Now, the interesting thing with BYU being ranked at number 11, if they were ranked at number 10, one spot above Notre Dame, I think there'd be a chance they would be safe if they lost in the Big 12 title game. But if BYU loses this weekend, they're already ranked number 11. As we all know, the teams that are going to get the number 11 and the number 12 seed, those are going to be conference champions. So BYU, if they lose this game, even if the playoff committee decides not to move them at all, they keep them ranked at number 11 next week, BYU is not going to be able to get a playoff spot because only the top 10 ranked teams are going to get those spots, with the final two being those automatic bids. So unfortunately for BYU, by being ranked number 11, they don't have the luxury of losing this weekend and staying ranked inside the top 12. If BYU wins, they secure an automatic bid. If they lose, unfortunately, despite playing in a conference championship game, which shouldn't hurt you at all, BYU is going to get knocked out. Now, if BYU were to lose this weekend, I do think that definitely helps Miami's case. Because BYU, they fall a couple spots in this scenario, and all of a sudden now, Miami is one spot behind Notre Dame. Now, I know the committee has continuously ranked Notre Dame ahead of Miami, but in the final playoff rankings, if it is truly down to those two teams, maybe at the end of the day, they will look at the head-to-head matchup and give Miami the edge. Now, me personally, I don't have a preference between Notre Dame or Miami. I think both of those teams are actually more than deserving of being a college football playoff team. The biggest issue in regards to all these rankings, and I feel like we're not talking about this enough, I feel like we're not giving the ACC enough crap for this. If Miami was able to play in the ACC title game, this entire scenario surrounding Notre Dame, would be completely irrelevant, because if Miami was able to play in the ACC title game, they would get a chance to take on Virginia, and they would get a chance to secure their spot in the college football playoff. If they win, they secure the automatic bid. They are a playoff team by earning their spot. If they were to lose to Virginia, well, they were given their opportunity, they fall out, Virginia gets the automatic bid. I get it, Miami had some really bad losses this year, but the fact that a 7-5 team in the ACC somehow, with all those tiebreakers, gets in over a 10-2 team with the same conference record, I think is absolutely ridiculous. I think the ACC, or the college football as a whole, somebody should have stepped up, changed the situation, and given Miami the spot. I know that's not fair to Duke. If I was a Duke fan, I would be pissed off if my team, rightfully, however you want to describe it, made the ACC title game and we're getting knocked out. But if we want to truly have the 12 best teams in all of college football, they need to somehow make a way where Miami makes it to the ACC title game. No offense to Virginia, they are 10-2 on the season. If they do take down Duke in the ACC title game, they'll be 11-2, they'll be a conference champion, and they'll be deserving of a college football playoff spot. Would you like to take a guess as to how many top 25 victories Virginia has this year? I'll give you a couple seconds to make your guess. Well, if you guessed 0 top 25 victories, you would be correct. They have not beaten a top 25 playoff team at this moment. Again, that's not their fault. You can only play the teams on your schedule, but Miami has the better resume. Miami has the better metrics all across the board. Miami should be the team that gets a chance against Virginia to secure a playoff bid. Because if Miami were in the ACC title game and they were to win, they get one of the automatic spots. In this scenario, Notre Dame, they're probably getting one of the automatic spots as well, and none of this matters. But because of the stupid ACC conference, that is how Miami is going to get screwed. And I have a really hard time believing that they're going to get an opportunity to jump Notre Dame next weekend. Now, on the broadcast, Reese Davis asked the head of the committee, Can things change next week? Are these set in stone for the teams that don't play? He worked his way around the answer, as they normally do, and he pretty much said, we're going to rank the top 25 teams how we see them next weekend. Pretty much saying, sure, Miami has a chance, but if Miami has not been ranked above Notre Dame all these weeks, what's going to change this weekend? Absolutely nothing is going to change. So Miami, unfortunate for you, barring a lot of changed minds in there on Saturday night and Sunday morning, you're going to get screwed out of the playoff. Then you have Texas and Vanderbilt, two teams I also believe are deserving. Now, a lot of people out there are going to say Texas, they shouldn't be in there with 3 losses. I totally get that reasoning. I totally get they had some bad losses this year. But I will stand by what Steve Sarkisian said. If Texas did not play Ohio State in week 1, if they played some terrible FBS team or an FCS team, they would be a 10-2 team and they would be ranked inside the top 10. Texas would have been ranked number 1 through the first month and a half of the season, and they wouldn't have fallen to number 13 had they not lost in week 1. Without that loss, they'd be 10-2 and they'd probably be ranked at 8, 9, or 10 right about now. And Vanderbilt, I talked about this in a video yesterday. Me personally, I think they should get the final bid over a team like Notre Dame. I think Vanderbilt has been playing a lot better than some of these teams have been playing, and honestly, I think they're more than deserving of that. Obviously, when you have a 12-team playoff, there's going to be no perfect scenario. There are going to be teams that get left out, but I can't help but feel that the 12 most deserving teams are not going to be reaching the college football playoff this year. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the conference championship games this weekend. Like I mentioned, 1 through 8, all those spots are pretty much locked up, which leaves only 2 spots realistically at 9 and 10. If BYU upsets Texas Tech, they're going to steal a bid, likely from Notre Dame. But what happens if BYU upsets Texas Tech and Alabama loses by 30 or 40 points? Are you going to knock Alabama out of the playoff in that scenario and all of a sudden Notre Dame is going to leapfrog them and take their spot? Or maybe the committee opts to go with Miami? Or what happens if BYU loses and Alabama gets blown out as well? Could we see a scenario where both Notre Dame and Miami get in, or maybe Texas, they sneak their way in as well? Either way, it's going to be fascinating to see what happens this weekend. There's still a lot that needs to be determined, and there's still a lot that the College Football Playoff Committee has to look at this weekend in regards to all of these games. But yeah, I'm still really upset about the whole ACC situation because, again, Miami should be in that game. They should be given an opportunity to reach the ACC title game. They should have been given an opportunity to make the College Football Playoff, and they would have been given an automatic bid, which would have put more deserving teams into the overall picture. Well, those are my thoughts on tonight's playoff rankings. What were your thoughts on the penultimate college football top 12? Do you think the College Football Playoff Committee got it right? Do you think they got it wrong? Was there a team that was ranked way too high? Was there a team that was ranked way too low? Whatever your thoughts are on the College Football Playoff rankings, let me know in the comment section down below. Before you leave, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. This is going to be a crazy week where we're going to be doing a lot of talking about the College Football Playoff. So for all the latest on how the 12-team bracket is going to look and all of the latest news, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Also, don't forget to drop a like on this video as well. It helps out with that YouTube algorithm, and it helps share this video and my channel with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.